Oh, never know how to start these. What's up, everybody? My name is Donovan Alexander Beck. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. I apologize because I'm just figuring this all out, basically. But today we're talking about something that's super exciting. It's actually a new camera. And I know a lot of conversations on YouTube and stuff like that is about camera gear doesn't matter, things like that. And it's true. It really doesn't, especially when you're talking about composition. How do we make the films that we're using? But we're actually talking about a different camera outside of filming and outside of videography and stuff like that. We're talking about a photocentric camera, and why I titled this video Going Back to Basics. For me, I started off as a photographer. My original love of creating documentation and things like that came from photography, came from the first ever camera that I was gifted by one of my uncles when I was traveling back in Europe, and the love of just being able to capture very still moments in time. And so I'm going to be talking about a camera that's really special to me, as it's one of my first ever Fujifilm cameras. I am a Canon shooter. I originally have started on Canon. My first ever film camera was on Canon. And then later on, I transitioned to a couple of the Sony NEX lines, but then eventually all the way back to a 5D Mark II, and then now Canon EOS R, and then soon to be a C70. So stay tuned to that as well. We're actually going to be talking about, don't have him here, so let me go get it. We're going to talk about this guy, the Fujifilm X100V. This is the newest addition to my family of cameras, and it's been awesome. I've had it for just a little bit over a week now, so this is not going to be a super in-depth video and review, and it's especially not even going to be, I haven't even been able to get portraiture with it yet. It's been a lot more street style and just documenting my life on a daily basis sort of camera so far. I have a photo set with one of my friends, Sarah, coming up very soon, which I'm really excited to go out and take this with me and try it out. But I wanted to talk about this camera, and not the camera itself. Not the megapixels, not the idea of what it does, not the new lens, things like that. Those are all amazing things, and there's a lot of cool upgrades to this version of the X100 line from Fuji, but that's not what we're here for. And if you want to see any of those really more in-depth sort of videos and reviews, I will link a bunch of videos down in the description below. But for me, I want to talk about the idea behind this camera instead, and what it means to me as a filmmaker and somebody who wants to share stories. And for me, there's a difference in bringing around a big cinema rig and a big camera load like my EOS R, like the C70 soon, like the Red that we shoot off of sometimes. Those are really big and intrusive cameras, and they take a lot of planning and setup, and they don't always lead to these sort of in the spur of the moment shots. This camera means to me to have something that fits inside of my pocket, literally, right? It's here in this jacket, I love it. It fits perfectly in this pocket, and it can stay there, and I can just pull it out whenever I'm wanting. And it's been an amazing ability just to take photos, again, and share stories. And that's what we're here to talk about. So I'm gonna break this video down into about two different sections. The first section is why I bought this, and the second section is how I intend on using this. So let's jump right into why I bought this camera. So like I discussed in the earlier part of the video, I have been able to use a bunch of different cameras over the years, from the Sony line to the Canon line, and then now adding this guy to the mix, which is a Fujifilm camera. And Fuji, if you're living under a rock, is sort of the king and god of traditional film and how film was used. And they created a lot of some of the best sort of film stocks that we used on different cameras over the years in the early parts before the digital age even happened. So they have a lot of background in photography, and their cameras are related to that. There are some amazing Fujifilm cameras for film, for video, but their line of photo forward cameras are some of the best. And the X100 line is one of those cameras. I love this camera for a certain set of reasons, that it forces me to stop and slow down. With my EOS R, with my larger bodies and that, I have all the options under the sun. I can take it, I can go take photos, I can take video, I can do all this. But they're big and bulky, I can put whatever lens I want, everything like that. They're really fast-paced cameras. They are cameras that are really engaged in doing a bunch of things at once. And for me, I wanted a camera that would slow me down and force me to focus a bit more on just the things that I was documenting, the life that I was leading. There's a camera that is focused purely on taking a photo, and I love that. And I love being able to carry this with me when I'm out with friends and just walking around this town. Like I said, I'm sharing some photos during this sort of talking section about some of the photos that I was taken, where I would actually just go and park my car in a neighborhood and walk around and grab some shots. And it was an amazing just experience to be not thinking about what can I shoot with this? Oh, maybe I need to change the lenses. Maybe I need to do any of this. It is a fixed focal length of 24 millimeters on a APS-C sensor like this one is, that comes out to be roughly around 35. And 35 millimeters is probably one of the greatest focal lengths known to man. It is just this ability that reminds you of looking at things with your eyes, and it's awesome. And I love that about this camera. And so why I bought this camera was purely because I wanted to have something to carry with me when I wanted to document life. There are a certain amount of things that I miss as a filmmaker, and as somebody who's carrying around bigger bodies and bigger cameras. Is a lot of my cameras are intimidating to friends and family who I walk around with, who maybe aren't used to having a camera pointed in front of them. And so having a very reminiscent to an old school film camera like we saw when we were kids, this is not intimidating at all. And in fact, my family, my parents and my brother and sister, I've taken photos of them with this camera and they've said nothing about it, because it's not as intimidating as carrying around the 24 to 70 millimeter on my EOS R with a battery pack and everything like that. It's a much more enjoyable experience to be able to walk around and take photos with. And I've loved that so far about it. And it's been an amazing thing to engage with. And so that thing that goes into, what do I intend on doing with this camera? Why did I spend the amount of money? Because there are 5 different versions of this camera. From the X100 line, this is the 5th version, the X100 Mark V, the V. There are a lot of things going on in the world. And I wanted to have a camera to document with. And I intend on using this camera in that fashion. I intend on carrying this as a behind the scenes camera for a lot of our sets, as well as just a travel documentation camera. I am planning right now a really big sort of short film documentary style film as we travel up north to Oregon, to Cannon Beach in Oregon. And this is gonna stay with me in my passenger seat as we're driving up the coast to go and take photos. And I'm very, very excited to be able to experience that, because I think it's gonna be an amazing moment of sharing. Also, on the aspect of sharing, film emulations have been absolutely awesome. I am all one to edit my photos and sit down and edit. I'm actually working on a whole different video right now that hopefully will be posted up soon about my iPad workflow tutorial and how I edit pretty much all of my photos now on iPad. I've pretty much gotten rid of my computer for the editing process of photographs. But this camera is awesome for quickly sharing documentation. And what I mean by that is, when I take a photo, it's going to copy 2 different versions of the photo. It's going to copy its raw version, which I keep for when I do actual full-scale edits and things like that, but also a JPEG version of the shot, which is using Fujifilm's absolutely amazing film emulations. In fact, all the photos you saw here were never edited. I never even brought them into Lightroom. Those are all just straight from the camera shared to my computer. And that is the amazing thing, is that when I'm documenting life now, it is much easier to share some of the most memorable photos of my life. The ones that I am enjoying with friends, or if I'm walking around town and just having something that I saw that was beautiful. At the flea market this past week, I had just taken a bunch of photos of some things that I thought looked really cool. And these photographs remind me of shooting film. Years ago, I sold my Canon EOS R, and I am so sad every single day that I did, because I didn't know how much I would miss that film camera. And this reminds me of shooting film. This reminds me of these really relaxing shots to see that weren't all set up and focused as a lot of my larger scale photography is when it comes to the portraiture that we take or things like that. These were more just in the spur of the moment, pulling out a small little film camera and taking a snapshot. And I love that. And I'm so excited to have that feeling again. And getting to share those photos on Instagram and Twitter has been awesome. Getting to share really just intimate moments of my life, but in a more relaxed way. And that's what this camera's gonna be for. It's gonna continue to be used for that. Will I shoot some full portrait sets on this camera? Probably. I'm actually really wanting to see what it can do as a portrait camera. I even might carry it as a sort of really on the sling camera for weddings, since I only shoot a single body for weddings anyways. It might be cool to have this 24 millimeter camera with me, and I'm really excited to see that. But the intention behind this camera wasn't specs. It wasn't to find the best photography camera, because this is definitely not the best photography camera, but it was to force me to go back to the basics of my filmmaking, the basics of my photography, which was sharing moments. And I'm so excited to do that. Like I said, I'm sorry if you're looking for a more in-depth video about the specs and things like that of the Fujifilm X100V. But again, this isn't that channel. I am a spec nerd. I love cameras. I'm a gear nerd and a gearhead, absolutely. But I'm also someone who really is just focused on how can I share better stories. And that's what you're gonna find here, is tools and assets that allow us to share and embrace better filmmaking and better storytelling through photography and filmmaking. And that's what I hope to do. So that's what I wanted to share with this video. I hope you enjoyed some of the film stocks that we were showing throughout the film, just talking about this camera. I will keep you updated on this. Like I said, this is my first week with this. I don't know where this camera is going to lead me in the upcoming years. I have been thoroughly enjoying it, so I know I'm not gonna get rid of it. That's the good thing. But I'm very excited to share more photos with this. With that being said, again, sorry for the delay in the videos. I hope you are still hanging around. And I also want to apologize to everybody who comments on the videos. I see them, I truly do. I see every single comment. I'm just very bad and anxiety driven. So responding to comments freaks me out because I feel like I'm gonna say something stupid. So I'm gonna be trying to respond to all the comments over the past videos very soon and start catching up with everybody. And I'm gonna try better to respond to people, but I am just a very anxious soul, and responding to strangers on the internet gives me every sort of emotion possible. So I apologize if you think I've been ignoring your comments. Trust me, I'm not. I see and read every single one of them. But thank you so much for commenting. And with that being said, also, please like and subscribe to the video, as well as to the channel. We will be hopefully doing a lot more films as I've gotten a lot more free time as projects have finally slowed down over the past week. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this little chatting video about the new Fuji X100V and how it's gonna be in my new kit and stays with me virtually everywhere. And so I'm very excited to keep on sharing with you. As always, peace, love, and happiness in everything that you do, and much love. See you soon.